I want you to imagine two drugs. One drug is legal, is distributed everywhere, and has few restrictions. The other is illegal in most places, and where it is legal, there are strict regulations regarding use, sale, and possession of it. The first drug results in 88,000 deaths annually, and the second doesn't even have a stat for deaths per year. Those drugs are alcohol and marijuana, respectively. These reasons, among others, are why marijuana should have less strict laws than alcohol does, because the effects of marijuana are less dangerous than those of alcohol, and the effects and sales of marijuana can be beneficial. Marijuana and alcohol both have effects on the human body. Marijuana can relax the user, as well as give a sense of euphoria, heightened sensory perception, and an altered perception of time, meaning 15 minutes can feel like an hour, or vice versa. Marijuana use also results in increased appetite and excessive laughter. These are some of the good effects, and there are some bad effects which can happen with an inexperienced user, excessive use, or if used in a bad situation, such as with people or in a place where the user is not comfortable. Anxiety, fear, paranoia, and panic are some of the side effects of marijuana, but those aren't always guaranteed. If too much weed is consumed in a short amount of time, it is possible for an acute psychosis to happen, which brings with it hallucinations and delusions. These effects can last from an hour to 3 hours if smoked, and even longer if consumed as an edible. Excessive long-term use of marijuana can result in marijuana use disorder, which is dependence on the drug. People with a dependence will need a higher amount of the drug to feel an effect, and while not on it, they may be irritable or restless. Heavy use of marijuana before the brain is fully developed can result in a loss of up to 8 IQ points, although this is not guaranteed to happen. Alcohol has some similar effects on a person. After 1 to 2 drinks, or 0.05% BAC, which is also known as blood alcohol content, someone would feel relaxed, have low inhibition, and their reaction times and judgment would be impaired. Once that BAC reaches 0.08%, or around 3 to 4 drinks, that person would legally not be allowed to drive. They would be clumsy, have slurred speech, exaggerated behaviors and emotions, and they would be intoxicated. They would also experience memory loss and a hangover the next morning. It takes 3 drinks per hour for a woman, or 4 for a man, to reach that 0.08% mark. Excessive use of alcohol results in some serious long-term issues, including liver failure, including liver failure, heart disease, seizures, and death. People whose BAC reaches 0.4% or more are likely to die from alcohol poisoning very quickly. As I mentioned earlier, alcohol causes 88,000 deaths per year. That number only includes people directly killed by their use of alcohol. It does not include people who are affected by those under the influence. For example, if someone is driving under influence and crashes, both that person and the other driver die, but only the person who is under the influence counts toward that 88,000. The other person does not count towards that 88,000. That number does include deaths by alcohol poisoning, liver failure, heart disease, and self-harm while under the influence, among others. While alcohol causes 88,000 deaths, marijuana causes very few. Like I said in the beginning, I couldn't find a definite number per year from marijuana-related deaths from any website or source. The only number I could find was 297. Nope, that is not a per year number. That is from 1997 through 2005, which also shows that the number of marijuana-related deaths is tiny and old. Oh, and not a single one of those deaths is from just marijuana use. Some were explosions from illegal hash oil making operations. Hash oil is extract from THC from marijuana, or from people overdosing on laced marijuana, or when it was mixed with other drugs. It is nearly impossible to overdose on weed. Someone would need to use over 1,500 pounds of weed in 15 minutes to induce a lethal response. For reference, the average joint according to Forbes, contains less than 1 gram of marijuana. Usually, it is closer to half a gram or less. So that would result in over 1,500 joints in 15 minutes. And another reference you can use that to, a pound of weed can cost from anywhere between $700 to $1,500, depending on who and where you are getting it from. What I'm saying is that is a lot of marijuana. Like, that never happens. Right now, as it stands, alcohol is legal to drink in every state once you turn 21. In some states, alcohol used by minors is allowed on private property with consent and permission from a legal guardian. Any drink that is 0.05% alcohol or more is considered to be an alcoholic beverage. On the other hand, marijuana has different laws depending on which state you are in. Marijuana is only fully legal in 10 states. In those states, it has similar rules to alcohol. It can be bought at age 21. There are dispensaries everywhere similar to bars or alcohol stores. In 14 states, it is fully illegal. In some states, it is legal for medical use with a medical card, which costs money. Colorado was the first state to fully legalize marijuana. As long as you're 21, you can buy up to 28 grams in a single transaction, and a legal adult can have up to 1 ounce of marijuana in their possession. Consumption laws of marijuana in Colorado are similar to consumption laws of alcohol. People can't just go down the street smoking weed, just like they can't go down the street drinking a beer. Legalizing the sale and use of marijuana, both medical and recreational, everywhere in the U.S. has several benefits. For one, making it legal would allow licensed dispensaries to open everywhere, giving people a safe source of legal marijuana. Having that safe source would lessen the sale, use, and consequences of accidentally consuming laced or synthetic marijuana like K2. K2 is a synthetic marijuana, which is marijuana sprayed with psychoactive chemicals, and it is not at all recommended for human use, and if it is supposed to be in tiny, tiny amounts. It can cause convulsions, organ damage, and death. It is not good at all. Opening dispensaries would also take away the need to make your own hash oil, so those explosions from hash oil setups gone wrong would be totally eliminated. People arrested for small amounts of weed wouldn't be taking up a spot in prison, and that would leave that spot open for someone who actually deserves to be in prison for a violent crime that is not marijuana possession. Marijuana is also a huge market and industry, and fully legalizing it would also benefit the economy. Since its legalization, California has made over $2 billion from legal marijuana sales, both medical and recreational. Washington has made over $1 billion, even though it has a population of 7.4 million, and California has a population of nearly 40 million. Colorado has made $1.5 billion. Marijuana sales have a federal tax of 15% on top of local taxes and fees, which means it brings a lot of money in for the local, state, and government. Legalizing it for medical use is another benefit. Marijuana, or more specifically 3 components of marijuana, which is THC, CBD, and CBN, can be used to treat many diseases, sicknesses, and symptoms. It can help treat pain, muscle spasms, and nausea, as well as epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, and mood or anxiety disorders. It is also being researched to help slow and treat cancer and HIV and AIDS. That seems pretty good to me. I mean, a natural plant that isn't terribly dangerous, has no bad side effects, and help those diseases should be legal at least for medical use. To me, alcohol should be monitored more closely. It is far more dangerous than marijuana is, and is a lot more accessible and easier to get. Marijuana has never directly by itself killed anyone. A person who uses marijuana is likely to eat a ton of food, chill on the couch, watch some TV, play some video games, or take a nap. A person with alcohol and gets drunk is unpredictable. Alcohol messes with behavior and emotions. They could do anything, resulting in any number of deaths. Alcohol tears people apart, marijuana doesn't. I'd even argue that marijuana brings people together. These reasons are why I believe that marijuana should be less controlled than alcohol is. Thank you.